it was just a shot in the dark originally where I was like I want him on board. And the first time I met him, I was like, are you still investing? He was like, I'm not investing too much because I'm too focused on OpenAI, Helion, everything else.
Tell me about Sam. Was it the first investor on board?
He was not the first investor, but one of the... It happened at the same time, actually, with a lot of other people.
Tell me about that raising money and everything. How did you learn to pitch?
I didn't actually learn to pitch. So the thing, the way we started the company was we got the grant. The same fund was like, we'll give you some more money to go after this. And then we'll go out and talk to some more investors, see what we should do. And we got a few investors. Most of them were from like the Bay Area. And we have one investor in India, which is Peak 15. But most of them were there. So we were talking to those investors. I had met Sam a few times. I've said this before also, but it was like I've met him. A very interesting story of how I met him. I cold DM'd him several times. He didn't respond originally. Then eventually he responded. And when I went to SF for the first time, I was like, I really want to meet you. He ignored the first message. Then he was like, I'm traveling. I cannot meet you now, but I would love to later. First emails, then I texted him. I was like, I'm in SF. Can we meet? He said no.
This is before Induced AI.
This is before everything. Yeah, before there was a company. And then he came back. I heard he came back. So when he was traveling, I was still there. And then I took a house 2 blocks away from his, the original OpenAI office. And then I texted him 2 blocks away from your office. So if you ever have 15 minutes of Uber time or anywhere that you're going, any time that you have, like just tell me, I'll come. And then he texted me once that, like the same afternoon, that like you can come at this time, like let's meet. Like I think what I spoke to him first about was also, I think there's a big shift that's happening in AI and you are doing it and like a bunch of other people are doing it. There's a lot of important changes happening in the world. What are, like you're talking about stuff that he thinks is going to be like important at an application level for AI to be democratized for use. We spoke about how you can build software on your own using these models. And we spoke about a little bit about the bots and like how, because they've written some of the first papers that were written about agents. So very well plugged into the space. And then I don't remember how it ended, but we spoke a little bit about hacker houses and where you should live, how you should talk to people, like a lot of random things. And then it just happened. So that stopped. And then I kept in touch.
Came back to India.
I came back to India. And then when we were doing the round, it was just a shot in the dark originally where I was like I want him on board. And the first time I met him, I was like, are you still investing? He was like, I'm not investing too much because I'm too focused on OpenAI, Helion, everything else. He's made very few investments after that. Like he used to be a very, very active investor in his YC days. It was also a very short call to decide. Like that was a Zoom, but a very short call to decide and do things. He was like, what are you building? And how do you want to do it? And when are you moving to SF?
You pitched Induced AI to him.
I didn't pitch Induced to him. I didn't pitch actually too much. I was like, we have some ideas around automation that we want to build. I think there'll be a lot of different changes that happen that will allow new forms of automation platforms to be built. And we'll figure out what to build with that. So it was not, like he didn't actually see any product. He didn't see anything.
Yeah, that's what
It was mostly just like broadly what do you want to do? And yeah, pretty much. That was it.
So he gave you money so that you stopped chasing him.
Probably. Yeah, probably. And he was...
Things went simpler from there to raise the other...
So that was actually more towards the end, I think. So we didn't raise any money after that. After we got him, we were like, no more round money. It's done. Like this is what... That's sort of parallel, but that was the last chunk that we got. Even at that point, I think he was very... like he's just like this with all of his founders, I think. Where he's tries to be helpful. He's like, I can help you with different things. And I was like, I don't need, you don't need to sell yourself. So ChatGPT had not publicly launched yet. It actually happened 3 days later. So just 3 days before. But this was pre-ChatGPT. So it all, I actually realized that if I were to have the conversation later, I probably couldn't have gotten hold of him, because right after ChatGPT launched, there was a big blow up all over the internet. OpenAI suddenly became a big thing. They were all over the news, everything. So he got pulled into a lot of different places.